on your windowsill. The weapon is peace, the word is...
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the world's most naked action figure video podcast. Yet, I'm sorry, but the heat wave continues, so it's looking like an OnlyFans account on this episode, but you gotta do what you gotta do, because videos need to be made, time waits for no man, the world keeps on ticking while another man relaxes. We gotta get our reviews out because we have the villain's wave. I was trying to do a little rhyme. Time turns on its axis, one man works while another relaxes. That's the expression. I digress, it's too hot here. So the villain's wave is out. Of course, you're like, hey Dave, 2 months ago called. They said your videos due. Yeah, I know, it's taken a long time to get these, but I realize now I'm still learning things while doing action figure podcasts and collecting, essentially. I realized that suppliers don't get their whole supply all at once. I realize now that they get a bit of a supply, and then they will send it out to the first people who ordered, and then they get a bit more, and Hasbro will trickle them out because they're difficult like that. Now I know. So now when I see something I want, I will pre-order it, boom, head of the queue. But finally, last one to the party, but hopefully the best guest invited. It's Model Behaviour covering the bad guys wave. Let's do it. So coming up first, I'm going to show you the crown jewel of the wave. Start with the best one, I think. The Red Skull. Johann Schmidt. Oh my goodness. I have been complaining a lot recently. I know, and people have actually said, Dave, you have been complaining a lot recently. And I realized that. But I think I had cause to. And then Hasbro give us a figure like this. And I'm like, you're forgiven. You just when I think you couldn't get any more money grubbing, you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself. He's beautiful. He's fantastic. I mean, he's hideous. He's the Red Skull. He's a Nazi bad guy, but he's also amazing looking. He has so much going on. First of all, new body. Boom. The first thing I thought when I took him out of the packaging is, he's big, he's chunky, he's way bigger of a figure than I expected. And then one of the good brothers on the live stream reminded me that he is in a cloned body of Steve Rogers. So that is a nice little touch to give him a big, chunky body, which does get reused later, which I don't mind in the slightest. Just look at the face sculpt. This is the main thing. First of all, let's focus on the lesser face sculpt, I feel, which is the smiley face. And the thing is, this is good, but the teeth are just a bit of a shame because it's too much. It's too much of a bright, wide, white smile, and it just kind of dominates a bit too much. If they put like a nice, nasty yellow kind of coffee stained kind of wash on there, you know, like these, then that would look a lot more realistic and a lot better. But it's a little bit too white, which is a shame because the rest of this skull is terrific. But then we have the one that I'm sticking with, and this is mwah, chef's kiss, superb. All of the detail on here. I love the sculpting of the bones, the indentation in the side of the head, the cheekbones, the jaw. He looks so nasty. It's fantastic. Really, really cool. With the Hydra bandana on the side there. He's got the Uzi pistol, whatever type of gun it is. It looks awesome again. With the Hydra logo. They didn't need to include it, but they did, and it makes all the difference. Hasbro, you're killing this. Thank you. Then, of course, the Cosmic Cube. The Cosmic Cube looks great, almost like it's glowing with energy inside his hand. This guy, I cannot rant enough about this, but I want to try and keep this video as a more concise one. So basically, Red Skull, absolutely fantastic. I'm going to show you him next to Captain America here. Look at these two. I love characters that are equal and opposite, like bookend characters, and this is what we've got here. Captain America and the Red Skull. What an amazing pair of characters this is. I love super, super good guy, super, super bad guy. Two amazing standout Marvel Legends figures. Put them together, and this reminds me why I love collecting this line. you know what, because I can't give everything praise, let's take it on down. Way down. With the Scientist Supreme. Okay, I know I'm not a big AIM type person. I don't know a lot about them. I mean, I know that they're like your generic scientist, terrorist jobbers. But I don't know the character of Scientist Supreme. So maybe this is actually a badass character and I'm just not really appreciating him that much. When I first took him out in hand, my initial reaction was plastic. This feels plasticky. I think the main reason for that is because there's no human element on here at all. There's no flesh, there's no organics, it's just a suit. It's an armor suit, and therefore it just looks kind of cheap, which is not really fair to him because that's what he needs to look like. But you know what? Already he's growing on me. He doesn't have half as many accessories. I didn't even mention the Red Skull has 2 other pairs of hands. It's like Pizza Spider-Man all over again. It's Pizza Red Skull. Fantastic. This guy, goose egg, besides the little information pad here. And the one good thing about this, well actually no, there's a few good things. I love the design. The translucency, it looks like some futuristic scientific iPad hollow projection kind of thing. That looks really cool. Then you've got the big beekeeper mask that's more kind of tricked out because he's obviously the Scientist Supreme. So there's a lot of nice stuff going on here, even for what I consider is one of the more basic figures in the line. He's got this big chunky belt here, but again, there's no wash, there's no shading, there's no nothing, and that's where the plasticky feeling comes in because it feels like there maybe could be more. What I wanted to do, which is a real shame that it doesn't work, is I wanted to put the hood head on here and then have him holding his beekeeper mask. I thought that would look great. It doesn't work. The pegs don't fit. If you were a customizer, of course you can Dremel and Tremel and Bemel things out. I'm not a customizer. I just want my plug and play out of the box. So that doesn't work. So this is how he's going to look. But when you do pair him up with one of the crown jewels of the year, our deluxe MODOK, now we're cooking on gas. Now we're grooving. Now we're feeling this. I'm feeling this a bit more now because he's got a friend. And you got to have buddies. I don't have any Hydra Goons, which is a real shame. I need some Hydra Goons, but there's always something else that's telling me to spend money on it. So I'm always putting the Hydra Goons on the back burner, and one day they will be off the shelves. They won't be available secondhand, and I'll be cursing myself for not buying them sooner. But in the meantime, I've got these 2 guys together, and they look cool. He's a weaker figure in the line, but he's the weaker figure of an insanely great line. Yes, spoiler, I love this wave. So therefore, he's still a very good action figure. Let's take things back up now, like a good wrestling match. You want some high spots, then you want some rest spots, and you've got to like go up and down and up and down. Take the audience on a roller coaster, and that's what Hasbro have done with Arcade. Omimnyo, this guy right here, perfection. You can see my lips were doing funny things because my brain couldn't decide what word to use, and I went with perfection eventually. I like hard P words. Perfection. Wonderful. Arcade done so well. First of all, the accessories. You're doing it right now. We got 2 heads. We got this classic head, and then we've got what I call the Jesse Eisenberg head, which is a shame because this Jesse Eisenberg head, it looks really good. It's a really great sculpt, a maniacal grin, the hair looks cool. The only problem is it just takes me back to a dark time when I was watching a film with Jesse Eisenberg. So, no, I'm sorry, this I guess will go in the fodder box. Some folks said it makes a decent Cletus Cassidy, and I can kind of see that, but the face almost looks a bit too babyface-ish for Cletus. But the classic look, this is Spider-Man and the X-Men, Arcade's Revenge, going back to the early 90s video games, with his bright polka dot tie, the platform shoes. People have said he's a little bit too tall, and I get that, I can see that. But still, you can attribute some of it to the platform shoes, but the rest of this is just terrific. Unfortunately, there's little sort of quality of life type things, like you can see the green of his shirt where the shoulders meet the jacket, but I can totally forgive that, because it's just a quirk of the design, the way it's put together. But then the bow tie, the green shirt, the cane, fantastic figure. I'm not going to wax lyrical too long because you know what I'm saying, because you can see it. One of the absolute best ones from a fantastic line. Going now to a slightly weaker figure, I feel, but one that has proven quite popular with the audience, is God Doom, God Emperor Doom, which is a big time retooling, repaint of our classic Doom. And I think one of the reasons why I wasn't too excited about this was that I already have 2 Dooms. And you could argue that's 1 more Doom than any one man actually needs. So now I got a 3rd Doom? What am I going to do with all these Dooms? Well, display them for a start, because whether or not I particularly wanted him, he does look rather good. The white is striking. Unfortunately, I feel like his chest plate looks really plasticky. Again, I know it sounds like a funny complaint to have about action figures that are made out of plastic, that they look like plastic, but you know what I mean. Because if I hold him up next to arguably the best Doom, we can see here, like, this Doom, it doesn't feel so plasticky. The metal, the armor, I feel like it just feels like it's darker and there's more sort of like hammered in a furnace type look to it, more industrial, real armor, whereas this, it just feels like plastic. But the rest of it has other good stuff going. I really love the actual mask design, the armor design of the mask. It is changed quite a bit from the other Doom, I think. Actually, no. It just looked to my eyes like it was quite different, but there's not really much in it. If there is a difference, it's negligible. My brain was just doing what it always does, which is trying to find all the positives, because that's how I live my life. So what we do have here, though, is nice if you get past my initial gripes, which, hey, I'm just a gripey son of a gun sometimes. The Thanos skull. That's what I'm talking about. That's wonderful. Actually, since I have him right here, let's see who wore it best. Thanos, I did this in the live stream last night. Thanos and Sub-Zero. I should probably age rate this video just because it's got a Mortal Kombat character in it now, but all my videos are ticked for adults. Which is funny because I never do any effing and jeffing in these videos, but hey, with a t-shirt like this, maybe it should be X-rated. I don't know. So yeah, we've got our 2 spine skull rippers here. Obviously the Sub-Zero one is a bit more gnarly with all the blood and the tailbone and whatnot. That's really cool. But yeah, Doom is fine. He's an adequate figure for me. The thing is, this is from the Secret Wars storyline, and I loved the Secret Wars storyline. I think it's one of the best modern stories from the last 5 or 6 years. But really, besides that, this doesn't really feature too much, so he feels a bit surplus to requirements. It's kind of funny that he has the powers of a god, but he does also have a gun. Just in case the powers of an omnipotent god aren't enough, you can always bust a kep in someone's ass. Oh, there you go. That was a rude word. I guess we warrant the adult rating now. But yeah, it's one of the weaker figures, but still, it's kind of fun. Alright, I don't care what anyone says. We're going back up now with the Hood. This guy, the memeiest Marvel Legends figure that has ever been made. God bless Hasbro for giving us the gift of this screaming head. Yes, it's ridiculous. Yes, it actually looks nothing like Parker Robbins from the comics, and that is a shame. But everything here still, it's such a fun looking figure. You've got his Bimmy to Jimmy guns that fire the happy things, which are just so ridiculous. How these made it past everyone, like, in the creative process. Everyone looked at them and went, yep, can't see anything wrong with that. It's like the people who were trying to figure out, why you shouldn't name someone Bart. Let's see. Bart, Cart, Dart, Eart. Nope, nothing wrong with that. This is just so funny that we have these. They're wonderful. And they made them pink. It's like, come on, guys. This is a rib. But either way, it's actually a really fun figure. It's the basic Stan Lee body, I think. But then you've got the hood. And of course, the big problem with the hood that was so obvious in all the photos was that it was hovering over his head. It looked ridiculous. But that's because the hood extends below his feet. Duh! So therefore, if he's standing, then it's going to be popping over his head. You want to have him in a flight stand. If you have him in a flight stand, Hasbro official marketing photographers, come on, I shouldn't have to teach you how to suck eggs here, guys. I'm the one who's commenting on the good stuff you do. Alright, we got this the wrong way around. This is how he actually looks good. He's jumping, flying, levitating through the air, fighting whoever it is that he fights, just the Avengers often. But he looks fun. Yeah, this isn't Parker Robbins' head, but it's a fun photography head. And there are many other ones you can play with. I've got a couple. I've got the the Hobgoblin Demogoblin head, which is a really fun one. And this is actually perfect. If I used a craft knife and dug the head out from the hood and then popped it on there, that would work really well. Also, I had the old Toy Biz Hobgoblin head, and it's a little bit oversized, but with a bit of fudging, that could work really well, because when the demon inside him takes over, his head goes all kind of like a symbiote. It gets overtaken in huge teeth and lashing tongue. And then a very popular one that people are using is the Demogoblin head, the Baff Demogoblin head, which again, I would be tempted to try and pick up one of those. And also one that I was thinking works quite well is the Infected Kane Parker head. A bit of an outside the box kind of thing. Parker Robbins never had a beard, but at the same time, this head is too awesome looking to just have sat in the fodder box. And with the yellow eyes and the possessed kind of look, the skin tones don't match great. But besides that, I think that works really well. But yeah, look, on a flight stand, he's much maligned, but I really like him. I think the hood looks great. Arguably taking it a step down or a lateral step, whatever you think of the figure, we have Lady Deathstrike. And the only problem with this is, I think that A, doesn't have any other accessories, and B, there's no washing, there's no shading. Again, it feels very plain, and that's a real disappointment, because more could have been done with this to enhance what is a really good figure. The best aspects, of course, are her claws, her radioactive special claws. They look scary. They look like she could really mess someone up with those. Sharp, jagged, with the nails, the actual metallic looking nails coming out, and then you've got the lovely cybernetic sort of veins going up there, and of course her swishy sleeves, I suppose, for want of a better word. They are sleeves, that's what they are, there is no better word. That looks really, really lovely. It's such a shame that her legs, her feet, the brown bits going over her shoulders, it's all exactly the same color, and then the red just looks like she's wearing like a red nappy. It's a bit of a shame. If they had just done a bit more to put some more detail, a bit more texture, it would have looked a lot better. But what we do have is still really, really good. The head is a funny one, because I think this is an excellent female head. I think it looks really great. It's a good, determined look, but I just wish we had more of a rah kind of look, because this is a character that would have done great with an extra head. An angry fighting head would have gone with the angry fighting hands. I feel the hands don't tell the story that the head is telling, or vice versa, which then makes me think it would have been nice if we had some regular hands, just to give you some more posing options. But having said that, I would display her with the spiky hands anyway, so what the hell are you even complaining about, Dave? So yeah, this is a figure that is adequate. It's not bad in any way. It's just kind of like me when I was at school. They've done the bare minimum to get by. And sometimes when you've got a wave that has so many strong characters, I'll occasionally allow it. I almost forgot, I love doing the comparisons and the pair-ups. So we have Lady Deathstrike with her two Reavers here, Skullbuster and Reese. And these guys flanking her, now we're talking. And this is great, because I was always kind of stuck on what to do when it comes to posing Reese and Skullbuster. I'm like, I don't really know where you guys should be placed or whatnot, but now that I have like a little posse here, a little triple threat trio, they're going to look really good. And the Wolverine section display, which I was never intending to make, is now really taking on a life of its own, and I'm kind of digging it. So yeah, these three all together, that looks really cool. Now just one more mainline figure to go over, and it is the Dread Dormammu. I wanted to finish strong with this guy because he is so much fun. Reusing the Red Skull, my brain was trying to say Red Hulk, Red Skull body, and it's been put to good use again. This is classic campy style, where it's Dormammu wearing his purple pajamas with his spiky boots, and like, it's silly, but I like silly. I appreciate silly. I got no problem with silly. I'm a silly person. So what's great also with this is you have the juxtaposition then with proper scary Baff Dormammu, who cannot for the life of him hold on to his skulls. I have a love-hate relationship with these skulls because they look awesome, but he just cannot grip them. But these two guys now, this is a fun comparison. It's like an evolution, so they're totally going to be paired together. Evolution might be a mystery, but it's also looking really awesome on my shelf with the two flame-haired boys here. So these guys look wicked next to one another. But let's focus on Dormammu himself. One gripe that people have, which I understand and I do second as well, is the flames on his head blend in a bit too much with his face. Oops, excuse me. It would be a lot easier or better, more effective, more striking if the flames on his head were yellowish. That way the orange face would stand out more. It would look more fun. It would look like he has blonde hair, and blondes do have more fun apparently. I've been blonde a few times and I can't measure whether or not I had more fun at the time, but I should do it again maybe. Roll the dice, see how it turns out. Might work for Dormammu too, then he wouldn't be so angry all the time. Speaking of angry though, I'm kind of done with these flame effects. The little swirly twirly flame effects. We've had these so many times on so many characters. Don't get me wrong, it's better than no flame effects, but I just feel like, can we do more now? Can we do something different? I'm looking at about 8 different characters in front of me. The Scarlet Witch, the Cuckoos, just everyone has these swirly whirly effects. I'd like some new fire effects, but that's a very small gripe. That's just me complaining, because what is the internet for if not to complain about things that we actually really love? And I really love this. He's campy, brightly colored, the big spiky shoulder pads. So much good stuff on here. I really dig him. And finally, we have Xemnu, the Bath, the Build-A-Figure, the random Build-A-Figure. This is quite the year for random Build-A-Figures, with Ursa Major coming out next. I'm looking forward to that line too. Xemnu, thank goodness I read the Immortal Hulk story that he came in, well, he didn't come out in, he's been around for years. He is apparently like the original Hulk, not that it's exactly the same as the Incredible Hulk, but the history of Xemnu I'm not that up on, which is kind of fine because his most recent appearance in Immortal Hulk is a very different style of Xemnu. He had a whole psychic mass world control kind of thing going on. It was really cool. But what was more cool was how he had some hideous body horror stuff where his chest would open up and these pincers would come out and they'd grab people and absorb them into himself, and then he'd spit them out as these kind of robotic zombie monsters. It was really heinous, but so cool. And this Xemnu here looks pretty much, not exactly, but like that modern one. So what can we say that's more sort of analytical and toy reviewer-ish? Looks kind of like Wendigo. There's a lot of reuse, but I can't pinpoint it all though, because maybe there's a lot of reuse, but actually, I've got to be honest. That was a really YouTuber-ish thing to say, where I actually couldn't back it up. But it's one of those things you hear where it's like, there's a lot of reuse in this figure. And if someone actually put me in a trial in court and said, all right, Dave, what's been reused? I'd be like, the white hairy stuff has been reused, I think. I actually don't know. This could be completely original, but it sure as heck looks a lot like Wendigo. But yeah, the head with the two freaky eyes like blearing out there, and the little Nintendo NES control pad type thing on his hand. It's a weird figure. It doesn't do much for me, to be honest. He's fine. It's nice to have as an addition to the shelves. Bright white does stand out, but at the same time, I'm not like, I've got Xemnu! Yes! It's more like, at least I know who he is. So he is fine as a Build-A-Figure, but also that's it. Remember the good old days? Remember when we had Build-A-Figures like Rhino and Sandman, where we got extra heads, where we got extra hands, some different things to play around with? Yeah, I remember. That was more fun. This guy is fine, but again, he's adequate. It's like, yeah, he's a big, chunky, heavy figure. Well, he should be. He's a Build-A-Figure. But yeah, so he's fine. I don't hate him, but I don't love him. He's just decent. He'll have a good place on the shelf, and I'll look at him and go, you know what, Xemnu? You're alright. So guys, that is the Xemnu Bring on the Bad Guys Build-A-Figure wave. What did you think? I love this wave. Seriously, this has brought back my love and passion for Marvel Legends, because this has been a bit of a rough year, to be honest, because the Spider-Verse Stiltman wave didn't do anything for me. I literally sold all of those figures except for Stiltman, which is kind of crazy. I've got the Hand Ninja still. Oh, and Frogman. Okay, alright, I still have at least half of that wave, but still, it didn't set my world on fire. Then we had the House of X wave, which is just like, blah. I stared at them on my shelf for a while and just went, no, I just really hate the lot of you. So they all went out the door except for Moira, who is now my Mary Jane. So I put her to good use at least. Then we got the Disney Plus MCU waves, which are great for MCU people, but that just didn't do anything for me. So it felt like a bit of a barren wasteland. I was like, there's nothing to float my boat. There's nothing to spice my potatoes. There's nothing to hash my browns. And now these guys, these have hashed my Buster Browns, pal. These are fantastic. If we were going to order them in order of liking, loving, I guess, we did this in the live stream yesterday, and it came out something like Red Skull was strong at number 1 there. I would happily say, gotta be, for me, Red Skull number 1. Then I would go over personally, because this doesn't vibe totally with what the live stream said. There were some big discrepancies, but I'm going with my ranking here. So Red Skull number 1, then for me, Dormammu number 2. And that's a tough one because it was between him and Arcade. And I really love Arcade, but I think it's just because Dormammu is so much brighter and more colourful. He gets the number 2. But then straight in with a bullet is Arcade at number 3, where if you're actually looking at it through a pure sort of scientific, subjective, sculpting type way, Arcade easily takes the number 2 spot because he's got 2 heads, he's got the nice suited body. I really love him. Those top 3 alone make this an awesome wave. But then on top of that, you've got my 4th figure, which is the Hood. And I know people malign it, but it's given us so much joy. He's got his ding-dong guns, he's got his shouty head, he's a lot of fun, and I really dig him, so that's fine by me. Then I have Lady Deathstrike, a figure that's almost a little bit frustrating because I feel like she could have been so much more. They were so close with her, but with a more animated looking head, maybe some different hands or a little bit more detail or dry brushing or washing on the figure, that would have really made her look so much better. Then after her we have, I'm pausing actually. We have Xemnu. I'm not that excited about Xemnu, but still, he's an original character we've not had before. He's big and chunky, got great fur texture, so I do have love for Xemnu. After that, we've got God Doom. And it's kind of a race to the bottom here. Is it God Doom or is it Scientist Supreme? I'm gonna say God Doom because the Thanos skull and spine is really cool. Being white, he does stand out on the shelf. He's quite striking. But actually, you know what? While I'm saying that, I'm gonna flip reverse it. Scientist Supreme is the penultimate figure because I've got 2 Dooms. I don't need a 3rd one. If I was gonna have to sell a figure, it would be God Doom before Scientist Supreme. So strike that. Scientist Supreme is the penultimate figure with his nice futuristic iPad type contraption. And then finally, bringing up the rear, the worst of a great bunch is God Doom, that is not a slight on God Doom, because the entire wave is terrific. Well done, Hasbro. A+. So that entire group together is just wonderful. Whew! I tried to be quick and I think that was still quite an epic review, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, then you can join the 6-1 clicks by clicking the like, share and subscribe buttons. You can always tell when I go into shill mode right at the end. And what else was I going to say? Join the Discord. The Discord is kind of blowing up, which is so great to see because it's such a good vibe on there. We've got great moderators, all sorts of groups. You can talk about action figures and all things in between. Good vibes only. Really love the fact that we have such a positive, fun Discord. And last but not least, if you want to go over to the Patreon, you can do at patreon.com/displaying model behavior. Throw a few shekels my way and keep me well stocked in action figures. So guys, thank you very much. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.